Okay, so I wanted to bring through a conversation today on discernment. So we are in, hi Corey, the energetic season of the spleen. So it happens every 18 days before the seasonal shifts, which is this equinoxes and the solstices. And hi Maya. And it is also in its fullest expression in late summer. So that's where we are right now, right before the autumn equinox. And so from the heart, the expansive energy of the heart, the spleen kind of like shakes everything up, and then everything contracts in autumn. And so we have the yang seasons of spring and summer shifting to the yin seasons of autumn and winter. And so when we, I'm good, Maya, thank you. Thank you for asking. When we work with the spleen is something I see often so imbalanced in a lot of people. And this is also why I'm doing the foot mapping series, because the spleen is found in the arches of the feet. And so you can really tell like what's going on with your spleen by the arches. And so it's your acuity of hearing, which hearing is linked with your kidneys, but it's your bounce, right? And so when we have like spleen stuff going on, things that can cause spleen stuff is eating too much sweet foods, like too much sugar, craving sugar all the time. Because like the spleen, it's like what's available in like spleen season, late summer, is like squashes and like the like natural sweetness and the grounding energy of like yams and stuff like that. But when we get stagnancy in our bodies through too much sugary foods or like candida, yeast overgrowth, what else? Brain fog, fatigue, not being able to like get up and out of bed in the mornings. We'll see this kind of stuff going on in the spleen. And so the spleen meridian is actually like, it goes up your foot right here. And that's why it governs the arch of the foot. And so when we're in this season, what the spleen is it's your muscles and it's your mind. And so it's how we chew, we think, we ponder, we masticate, we exercise good judgment. It's linked with our stomach. And so it's the element of earth. And earth is this element of like, it's the postnatal chi. It's like what you're giving to yourself, right? And so one of the qualities that really the spleen has when it's aligned is discernment, which is this focus that the spleen is meant to have. It's like the sharpness of your mind. And so the spleen is also seen in the lips. There's all these places you can see the spleen because it's the opening, right, to the stomach. And so the spleen's energy, it brings up what is needed in the body and it pushes down to release what is no longer needed. So if we have like prolapse issues, this is a spleen issue because it's not having that lifting function that it's supposed to have. And so this quality of discernment, this is coming up from a few of you and has been like kind of over all summer. But one thing that I notice on the spiritual path, or if I'm like looking at other people's teachings or things that I'm actually looking for in a teacher is very specific. And I'm going to get into what it is today. But when we're discerning on this path, like discerning the information that we're consuming, right? Because it's not just the food that we're taking in. Like, yes, this is going to affect you. Yes, the water is going to affect you. Like all these things are really important. But what is the information that you're consuming, right? Like if you watch news, is that good information to consume, and most news is just fake. So you really want to be able to discern the energy of the things that you're taking in and how it makes you feel. Because I find if I'm taking in any kind of information, and I think we talked about this in this last call, was that feeling of love, that expansive feeling in your body, like just deep love, and then the feeling of fear as contraction, and it kind of just like squeezes you, right? So you can't breathe. And so understanding that spectrum in your own body and how that feels in your body will really help with this aspect of discernment. How does this person make you feel? How does this person and what they're saying make you feel? And so there's one truth, right? And I've said this so many times, the only truth that there is on this planet here and in all of consciousness, not just this planet, but the truth here, because we're here right now and we're also in all the dimensions, but it's love, right? It is love or fear, because you have a choice. That's the truth. It's like you're free to choose love or fear. And why would you fear if love is here? But if fear is here, then there's no love. And so if ever I am in frequency with a teacher or someone that's claiming to be a teacher or a healer or whatever, do they make me feel fearful? Because that is a huge flag for me. I know there's like a lot of, like there's teachers that talk about like dark energies on the planet and like all this stuff. Like it's not helpful, right? Because it's just perspective and perception. And so what we're really here to do when we're looking at this planet and taking in information, taking in the people that are around us, is discerning. How is this making me feel? And what is the energy that they're giving to this situation to me? And so it is really important that we are so clear and particular with our energy and with our truth and with the truths that others are giving us, because you are taking it in and now it's yours. And so if you take in information that is going to put you in more fear, it's yours. And you have to learn how to move it out of your body, to shift your perception. And that is why nobody can heal you. Nobody can heal you. You can come to me and do my practices, and I'm never going to claim to be a healer, right? That's just not what I am. And that's not what anybody is. Yes, we heal ourselves. Maya, this is the perfect topic for me today. Isn't it always perfect? Someone can show you what is possible. Someone can give you their practices that have helped for them, which is what I do, right? These are the practices that help me out. You can sit with someone and you can have a one-on-one practice with them or a one-on-one private with them. And it shifts you and you're like, oh my gosh, like parts of me have healed. And then 2 weeks later, you're like, what the hell? I'm back to normal. I was different. Like when I worked with her, like what happened? And it's because your mind hasn't been corrected yet, right? Yes, it might have been shifted for a moment, but until that true correction happens in the mind to correct the fear into love, or whatever that contraction was within their body that was blocking the infinite possibility of you as a human, until that is corrected in your mind, there's no healing in your own body that can occur. And so whenever people claim to be healers, I will heal you, whatever, that's just not true, because the only person that can heal you is you. But you can still find mentors along the path that are going to facilitate your own personal healing. And that's why no one can rise into self-responsibility but you. Nobody. Nobody can do the practices for you but you. And that's why when people ask me if my yoga studio is like contracted, like do I have to be in this for a year? No, because you're the only person that can contract yourself to this practice. I'm not going to. I'm not going to force you to do it. I'm not going to make you feel bitter if you want to stop and your life changes and you want to get out of it. And like that's how I feel about lots of contracts. Is it's like we change and no one can force you to do anything, right? And it's the matrix that's contracting us into certain situations that make us stuck in these certain situations. And so when we really start to learn, like, oh, it's all about me. It's about me actually rising up and being like, I said I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this for my body because this makes me feel good. I'm going to explore my body because I want to learn more about myself. I want to become a better person. I want to be easier to live with within myself. Because, you know, if you don't like living with yourself, you're not going to want to be inside of the body. You're not going to want longevity. You're not going to want to get there from point A to point B and fulfill the mission of your soul, because it's really hard. Like, it's already hard enough on earth. But you have to learn to rise to the challenge of life, right? And this is why, like, you know, some teachers are really soft. They're like, oh, like, just feel it and cry. And if it's like a hard day, let it be a hard day. Like, if it's a hard day, there's a part of you that's not okay. And you have to find that part and hold that part and love that part until you move through that, right? Because like when I have a hard day and I'm like really upset, I'm like, it's not okay that I'm not okay. Like there's something inside of me that is not okay. And I need to find that, you know? And so that's where I think there's a lot of spiritual bypassing, and there's a lot of giving your power away to like a human you're putting on a pedestal. And no one is different than you. No one is in a better position than you, because you're positioned where you are. And that is the best position for you to be, for what your soul needs in this moment to grow. And so that is why your situation, your moment, like your greatest awakening will be in the hardest situations in your life. It's not going to be when you run away to a temple and go sit in 10 days in Vipassana, right? I've done that many times. And it's beautiful and it's great to train the mind, but it's not going to make reality easier, right? It's not going to make your problems go away. It's not going to make the karma that your soul has be dissolved until you're sitting in that karma and being like, I shouldn't be triggered right now. I shouldn't be feeling this way right now. I shouldn't be feeling upset with this moment right now, because this moment's perfectly neutral. But it's me that's shading it with my perceptions and giving it color and giving it judgment, right? That I need to rectify. And so this quality of discernment is really learning what is serving you most on the path. Because here's the thing. In this human dimension, we have time. Right? And the only purpose of time is to learn how to use it well, is to learn how to use it constructively, is to not waste time. And so the moment we go off course, the moment we go unconscious, we're just like running about our day, freaking out on people, is the moment we're not using time constructively. But the moment we shift it and turn around and look at ourselves, we're like, oh, okay, here I am. What is the situation showing me? What is the gold here? What do I have to move out of? Like, what am I here to clear? That is when you're using time constructively, because anything that is not love is not true. Anything that is, any teacher that is claiming they can heal you is not true, because you're your own healer, right? Anyone that's claiming to be above you is not true, because we are all the same. We are like fragments of light strewn off into space, and we're all just holding different positions in this space-time continuum. And Maya's over there, and I'm over here, and Katie's over there, Corey's over there, and we're all holding our own field, but we're all have perfect opportunity to awaken where we are in the moment to the truth that the only thing that is real is love, right? And that's where compassion, and that is where kindness comes from. And that is where we're perfectly neutral with the situation in front of us. And then when we're not, we know that there's a misperception, that there's a distortion in our mind that is telling us this situation needs to be anything other than it is, because it couldn't. It couldn't be anything other than it is, because here you are right now in the moment. You can't be anywhere but where you are. And so when we're learning all about like the spleen and using the mind and using it constructively and focusing on what we're here to do, everything begins to shift in the dimension of reality that you're perceiving, right? And so I talk about this a lot, is this line of like our soul's path or our dharma, or, you know, there's so many different names for it, but it's our line of destiny. And so our soul has a mission to fulfill. And for people that party hard, this is like their line. They wear out their body, they wear out their kidneys, which only get one charge. They don't know how to participate in their vitality. Yeah, when you're young, you can like get through it. And then all of a sudden, they age really fast, right? Their hormones get all messed up too early. And then they leave the planet sooner. And then all that karma that's entangled in there, and this whole distance that they didn't traverse, they get to come back to. And life is hard, right? It's hard to come back here again and again and again and again. Right? And so the trick really, you know, especially if you're listening to me and if you're here right now, is like, how can we see and perceive the things that are hooking us right now so that we don't have to keep learning the same lesson again and again and again? How many of you have learned the same lesson again and again, where you're like, oh, how did this happen to me again? Whether it's like, God, I don't have money again, or like, how am I in this relationship again? Or like, I'm feeling this way again when this person talks to me, or no matter where I go, I feel alone. Like, I feel like I'm not heard, I'm not seen, whatever it is. Like, we repeat these loops in our lives because our soul wants to show us where the distortions and the misperceptions and the incongruency in our mind is. That is taking us into the illusion, right, of this physical dimension holding all of the weight, and out of the reality that we are just here to be pure embodiments of love. And it's not just like, oh yeah, like shine your light and everything will be okay, and you're like crying inside. Like, that's bypassing. And you're abandoning yourself, when it's how can I bring love to this moment? What part of me needs to be held? What part of this person, like, what are the things that I actually need to say to the person in front of me right now that's going to cultivate love rather than anger or fear or resentment? Like, what are the things that I need to say, right? Or do I just listen? Like, what is it that I need to do? And so when we're really on this path and discerning what we're taking in, the information that we're giving to ourselves, right? Every time, like, like, everyone can do whatever they want, but like, I don't even scroll on Instagram, because it's like, I don't have time to consume a lot of information. I'm not searching for anything, right? Like, I love creating for all of you. It's so different. I love creating content. I love creating things for you guys to use and to like utilize in your day-to-day to make life easier, because I've been doing this for 15 years and it's just like so easy for me to do. But I'm not going to sit down and watch TV and binge on series, if that's what people do. I have like no idea. It's been a long time. But I'm not going to do that, because there's better things that I can be doing with my time, right? First timer, really enjoying your content. Welcome, Tanya. Yes, I'm from Canada too, for those of you that don't know. I'm Canadian. Sometimes people hear it in my stories. So there's so many yogic principles or so many spiritual principles. Like, I hate to put labels on like what it is, but the quality of discernment is one of the best things that you can do to focus your mind. And when we're discerning the things around us, is, am I choosing to take this in right now? Or am I just choosing to like, let this go and walk past it? And so when we're finding teachers, when we're finding friends, when we're like finding people to communicate with, You get to be the one in the seat of the discerner, and to not feel bad, like not feel bad if you don't want to be in a situation. Because this is where a lot of us will abandon ourselves and just be a people pleaser and be like, oh God, I feel bad. I like don't want to be talking to this person right now. I'm just going to sit and listen. And it's like negative information. And it is like harming, like it's harming, right? And you're also agreeing to that continuing for them. And so this is where you always get to choose yourself and what is best for yourself. And nobody can tell you what that is, right? No one can tell you what to do. But this is where we go into our own bodies and feel the things that feel good, that like pure, innocent desire. Like all of creation is created through desire. Like what is that desire for you? Can you tap into desire? What do you actually desire for yourself in this moment? And if what you're doing in the moment is not of the desire, if it's hard, if it's like annoying, if you're like, oh, why am I doing this again and again and again? You got to stop and actually begin to feel. You don't have to act on it, but feel what the desire is for you. And that feeling of desire, of like, this is what I would be doing right now. This is what I'd be creating. This is who I would be with. That feeling of desire, when you can tap into that, that is what will shift your field so that more of what you desire comes in. And so this is really powerful work, because if you're in a job you do not like, the desire to be somewhere else, I mean, I did this when I was 22, which was so long ago, but there's a certain amount of you that you have to rise into when the fruits of your desire begin to manifest, because things leave, right? And then your world shifts. And so that changes and destabilizes the human, because you're shifting into a different reality, in a different desire of what you want for yourself. And so when we're consistently agreeing to what is causing us dissonance in our body, we're not really discerning the situation around us, because we're not choosing, right? We're not choosing to actually discern. When I was sitting in the corporate world and everyone was miserable and they just agreed to it, and they agreed to working like 13 hours a day. And I remember I got my first paycheck and I was like, oh my God, is this how much they paid me for that much work? And I was like a bartender and I was like, this is ridiculous. I am out of here. You know, it's like, I can't agree to damaging my body, living in a way that's miserable, where everyone around me is grumpy, where like people are coming to me for like help tips or whatever, you know, like that's who I was, the office hippie. And then not making money that didn't feel good for my soul. Like, I can't keep agreeing to this. And I did agree to it for 6 months. But eventually it got to the point where I was like, I can't be here anymore. And then that's where the discernment comes in. It's like, when that field is open for you, when you have that desire for something new, what happens is the infinite potentiality of all things comes in. And that's when all things come in. And when you really have to begin to get discerning of, what am I actually going to bring into my field? How do I actually want to direct the course of my life? Because you can see so many people just confused, hopping from here and there all the time, right? But getting really clear on what you want for yourself, right? How you want it to feel, how you want it to look, all of this, right? All of this is going to allow the things that are in resonance with that to come into your field. But if we don't know what we want for ourselves, if we have no idea, we don't even know who we are, we haven't done the self-inquiry, go into our, like, this is why I love my yoga practice every day, because it's just a moment for me to close my eyes, move my body, and feel who I am. Who am I today? Because today is always changing, right? The moment is always changing. And when we can begin to get into these layers of ourself, we notice the same patterns within ourselves, right? How we're feeling, if different situations happened, like how we're clearing all of this out of our body because it sits in the tissues of our body, right? We become more into who we are, then we know what we want. Like when we get into true desire of our soul, it's already there for you. If every dimension is here right now, which it is, your future self is telling you things. That, like, for me, it's like, build a beautiful big community of people. Like, find land eventually. Like, I know what it looks like. I've known it since I was 22, but I have to release the outcome of it. Like, how do I get there? I just know what it is for me. And so same with you. You have a desire on your heart that's like your future version, where you're like, oh my God, that would just feel so good. It's gonna be different for everyone. But that's there for you because there's a part of you that's living in that dimension. And so the question is, like, what are we taking in that is going to bring us closer and closer, faster and faster to what we truly desire, so that we're collapsing these timelines, so that we're using time constructively, right? So that every single moment, it's like, what am I orienting to right now? What am I orienting to right now? We get off, we go off track, we watch the TV, we do all the things that are like taking us away from ourselves, and then we remember, and then we come back on our path, right? And so everyone's going to have their own path, but it's really important, especially now with how much is available to us. You can go online and buy anything, literally, right? You could buy anyone's course to learn anything. You could learn how to like channel energies. You could learn how, like, everyone's a channel, by the way. You could learn how to like do Reiki, which is, I love Reiki, but like, you know, yoga, you can learn how to market. You can learn how, like, everything you can do online. Someone is selling it, you know? But if you only have so much time and your soul knows what it's here for and you have a desire in your heart, how are you going to keep your compass focused towards what you truly desire? And only bring in, without wasting your time, the things that are going to get you closer and closer and closer and keep you on your path so that you fulfill your mission here, right? And the thing is like, it just feels so good to the soul, because some people will cringe at that and say, that's so boring, I just want to have fun. Life is very fun when you are focused on your soul path, because life is easy. Like, it's not that it's not hard, but everything almost reconstructs for you. And that's sometimes hard. You know, you have to move through that. But with the ease in which life shifts and changes, and the perfect people come in, and the perfect jobs come in, and the perfect work comes in, and the perfect alignment comes in, like, that is the gold of being aligned to what you're here to do, to discern your path, to know what you're taking in, to know what you're consuming, to know then how that is orienting you towards where you want to go. Because there's nothing wrong with consuming things. There's nothing wrong with it. You love that sweater, buy that sweater. You know, have fun on this earth while you're here in this dimension, with touch, with feelings, with smells, all the things that we get here. But the better you can stay organized and aligned to the path of your soul, the more you can discern the information, so you're not wasting time taking other people's things. You're like, oh, why did I do that? Why do I waste my time over here? Why did I sit and just like binge eat and watch TV for 8 hours today? Like, what part of you needed to do that? What part of you needed to disassociate? What part of you was using that as a coping mechanism for a part of you that wasn't okay? For a part of you that was like yearning for something but didn't know how to express it, right? And so we get to sit in these like uncomfortable feelings within ourselves. And then we get to get really clear on the direction we're headed, right? On the things that we're taking in, on how quickly we want to get to where we want to be. Because there's no end, right? It's limitless. You are limitless. If you could have anything you desired right now in this moment, what would it be? And then what is it that you need to bring in that is going to expedite your ability to get there? And so we're just always being asked to rise into a different version of ourselves, right? We're always being asked that. And if you allow yourself to do that, to move into these versions of yourself that you know exist, the people will be there to support you, to collapse those timelines for you, so that you're not doing it alone, because that's not what we're here for, right? Because the more clear you get, you are now a reflection for others of that clarity, of that path, of that work, of that light. And so light is attracted to light. And not only that, but the moment you shine a light on darkness, darkness is gone. And so when we can rise into these parts of ourselves, we get to allow others the opportunity. When we're negative and we go out into the world and we're being grumpy and like saying things that like are fear in contraction, we're showing others to agree to that reality. And so we're not even giving them the opportunity to rise into the love that we all are. And that's what I think the most important thing is. And again, it's not bypassing. You're not going out there and being like, everything's great, right? It's because you sit there and you feel into your body and you do this work. And you know, you spend the time using time well, that you're able to go out and be consistently reliable and like consistently approachable and consistently like the person that people are like, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you for showing up this way, because a lot of people don't. And so everyone's going to have a different version of that. But this world is a community, right? This is a communion. Like, we are here to free one another by healing ourselves and by choosing that for ourselves and choosing to use our time well and choosing to discern this path and choosing to choose the things that allow us to feel love in our hearts, that allow us to feel expansive. We're not searching for love, right? We are anchoring it so deep into our being that it is a felt experience that nobody can take away from you. Because the truth is there's nothing this world can add to you. Try. Try to take this water bottle and make it become you, and now it's like makes you a better person. Like, nothing outside of you can add to who you are. But all you can do is anchor yourself within you, within the love that already exists inside of you, under the layers of illusions of fear, of contraction, of thinking like, whatever the patterns of thoughts that you have, I'm not going to be able to do this. How am I going to be able to make it? I can't go at this job. I'm terrified. I can't leave this partnership. Like, this is all I've ever known. How am I going to make it? You know, all of these layers and layers and layers that are telling you that you're not safe as you are, that you're not loved as you are, that you're not perfect as you are, that you are not in this moment that you're in right now, that like this moment isn't perfect as it is, because this moment is all that you have. And you're here because this is the moment that you get to anchor in that love. So if the person in front of you is yelling, that's the moment you get to anchor in the love. If the person in front of you is just like the most beautiful being in the world, that's the moment you get to anchor in the love. There's no difference between those two experiences, right? You are the mediating factor, right? You are the one that's perceiving it and judging it as different, right? And so beyond all of those layers of illusion, beyond the judgments, beyond the conflict, right? The inner awareness that it doesn't matter what's happening outside of me, I can anchor in how held I am, how supported I am, because I'm here, because I get to be here by like the mystery of God's grace. Like, you can't even pierce anything in existence and know it. Nothing. All you can do is go inside of yourself and just give the blessings to the world around you. The blessing that you get to be, the blessing that we get to be, that we get to gather like this, that we get to talk about these things. We get to do yoga together, right? We get to expand our consciousness together. We get to be better humans together. And that resonance is going to change the whole entire planet. But nobody's going to choose it for you, right? Nobody is going to heal you. Nobody's above you. Nobody's in a better position than you, right? You are in the perfect position for your own awakening right now. And so we don't cloud it with our perceptions, our judgments, our labels. We just see it as it is and see what needs to be rectified in our mind that is anything other than love. Whether it's judgments, whether it's like, you know, whatever it is, this is just what's occurring inside of yourself if you're fragmented, which we all are, right? Or be here. And so just some things for you to think about, for you to play with as we are in this energy of the spleen. The spleen is, I actually recorded a video for you all next week as like a little, whatever, just like gift. Every year I go to this long dance with these Native Americans on their land. And it's just basically over the autumn equinox. It's like a night where women come together and just drum. The drumming never stops. We sing songs and we dance, and there's tents, and there's the red tent and the mother's tent and the elder tent. And it's just such a beautiful experience. So I will be away next week, building the teepees with them and then hosting the yoni tent, the bleed tent, for the women that are coming. And so, yeah, next week I have a little surprise for you. So look out in the alchemy space and I'll upload it for you. But to the autumn equinox, we're working in this season, this late summer season, this short time of our spleen. It is focusing. It is using your time constructively. It is setting the conditions for how you are going to go into autumn and winter, which are the inward seasons. What are the practices you're going to adopt? What are you going to bring with you? What are the tools, right? Because if you don't have tools to go inside, if you don't have like crafts to do, winter is very hard, right? If you're being distracted and being out all the time like summer, you're going to get sick, because that's not what winter's asking of you. Winter's asking you to hibernate. And so this shift is such a potent shift in the year for you to recalibrate, right? Your focus and your drive for what it is that you desire for yourself, who you're going to bring in to the cave with you, right? What practices, what people, like what tools, like what is it going to be for you that gets you through autumn and winter? Autumn is the reflection that is reflecting spring, the memories of spring. Winter is the depths, right? There's the polarity of the fullness of summer. And so winter's empty, right? And so it's in our emptiness, who are we, right? In our emptiness, when all the things are taken away from us, our identities, our achievements, like the worldly desires that like we have or like other people have of us, like beyond the clothes that we're wearing, beyond the earrings that we're wearing, beyond all of these things that we like identify with in the human form, like what is there in the eternal depths of your soul? And that's what winter's all about. Winter's so soulful because the soul descends like water to the lowest level, right? It turns down its temperature or it slows itself down so it can inhabit this physical dimension. And so you really get to shift your focus from outside, spring and summer, to inside, autumn and winter. And this is the turning point. In Taoism, they'll put the earth element or the spleen in the center of the other elements. So summer is fire, winter is water, right? Polarity. And then spring is wood and autumn is metal, right in the center. And so it shifts, right? The outward to the inward. And that's what awakening is, right? And so when we shift the external thinking that the world is like everything, or that we need to be validated by the world, and it turns the focus towards ourselves so that we can do our own inner work, so that we can do our own inner healing, so that we can see this world as nothing more than a projection of our mind. And when we change our mind, when we look outside, the world changes. And so it becomes really fun. It becomes so fun. So yeah, hi Shailene, I see that you came in here. I hope that was helpful for you all today to really like trust yourself. Know that you know what to choose. Know that you know who to bring into your life. Know that you know what practices to bring in, right? That you don't need to do it all, but you just need to do one thing really well. And that's what I love about the yoga practice. Like, you don't need to learn how to do every single pose like amazing. Like when you do one pose aligned, all the rest will just get aligned, right? When we learn one thing well, we learn the art of skill building, right? When we become proficient in something, because it's proficiency that gives us insights. When we're learning how to write, it's like, we're not having insights. We're like A, B, like learning sentences, learning paragraphs, whatever, right? We're building the skill. But the moment we have the skill, we open the book and we're reading it and we're like, oh my God, like all this stuff is coming into my mind. The insights are coming in, right? And so it's when we're doing the yoga practice or doing the breathwork practice, like breathwork is the best thing for autumn, we're developing a skill so that we can have proficiency, so that when we're doing yoga, we're not like wondering where our hand goes or our foot goes. Like that's the skill building. And yes, you have to learn that to get to, you put your foot down, you're moving your body, and like all these downloads are coming in because you're just open and available by giving yourself the space and the time for you to move energy through your body, to be in the body, to be inhabiting this form, to be curious about this form, to be curious about this experience. And then all the insights come in and all the downloads come in. And so you'll all probably have your place where you're like, gosh, I just go to this place and I feel so creative, right? And that's what it is, right? We move into our channel, which is always available, but we're giving ourselves the space to not be on our phones, to not be doing this, to not be doing that. We have the space and the time to actually be. Right? And that's what I encourage all of you to do. So yeah, if you're not in my virtual yoga studio and you want to come in, that's definitely available. If you do want to learn more about the foot reading, I know a lot of you already signed up. That's going to be an amazing 3-part series where we're actually going to learn about like mapping your foot and how it's related to your body in various ways. You can shift your foot positioning so that you can actually change your posturing, the tension in your body. Like it's super fascinating, and we'll do some foot reading and some body reading as well. But you know, it's like the practices that we bring into autumn and winter it's the baseline, the foundation for like how we come into spring and the seeds that we plant and like the visions that we have, right? So it's a really powerful time to like hone in on your practices and to develop this deep inner relationship with yourself, so that when you go into spring, it's not like, gosh, what do I plan? It's like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. The energy is calling me to rise up, and I know exactly how I'm going forward now. And all that energy supporting you. And so we move mountains this way, right? By not doing a lot, by aligning ourselves. So I hope you all have a beautiful day. I will upload everything next week for you guys so that you can have like your own little autumn equinox kind of ceremony. And I really hope you're soft and gentle to yourself over this seasonal change. It is very dramatic to go from the outward expansion to the inward autumn. So yeah, we are cultivating our health and our wellness here, and we all have the tools to stay healthy, to stay well, and to like have lots of stuff to do in the winter. We're going to be so stoked. So I love you all so much, and I'll see you live in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I'll upload next week something for you. So bye, everyone.